have our quality intro. Oh my goodness, we're live. Look, we didn't even have the quality intro.
Oh,
It's this is Tuesday, June 27th. It's 12:45 here in the East Coast, 9:45 a.m. where Mario is, and this is CarEdge Unplugged for today, Tuesday the 27th. Mario, how are you today?
doing great, Ray. Thank you, and thank you for inviting me for today's show. It's great.
Yep, you and I are we're well. You're filling in for Justice, and Justice is busy today. Unfortunately, it's his sister's memorial service, who she
Mm.
recently passed away, and so that is why Justice is not here today. And we will do our best to make Justice proud. I'm not sure that we can, but we'll do our best. But I know Justice had sent us a rather lengthy email about what it is that we're supposed to try to cover today, and knowing us, we probably won't. Um, so I think today it's supposed to be the ultimate road trip EVs that are revealed, and all I want to know is, are we there yet? And prior to us going on, you just shared a quick story with me. So I think you should share that story with everybody. Are we there yet? And the answer would be
It depends. It depends on where you're going and define a road trip. Um, a couple of weeks ago, I decided to take my family to Palm Springs. I live in San Diego, so it's like 150-mile trip, maybe 170, I guess.
yeah.
And we were with another family, and they went in their Mustang E, and we decided to go. I got like a little like I don't think I'm gonna make it on the Polestar because I have a Polestar right now. So I decided to say, well, they'll take their EV and I'll drive my Clubman Cooper S, right? It's a little bit small, but at least I won't be like a little bit nervous, if I kind of range anxiety and kind of thing. But
Hmm.
it was a good experiment, right? Driving with someone, same range, the same route, the same stops that we usually have with kids. We had to make a couple pit stops, some detours to eat and stuff. So it's not like 100% how you plan always, and that's kind
Yes.
of like that adds a little bit of anxiety, especially when you get lost in the mountains, right? Because we went through the mountains, so, that's pretty that's a fun ride. But in the end, I think they had to recharge at the middle of the trip, and it kind of threw us off a little bit because they had to find a CCS charger, a fast charger,
Hmm.
and we were at Idlewild, I guess, and there's nothing in there. Like that's like in the mountains, right? It's like, and they had to go like half an hour drive to just get a charge, and half an
Wow.
hour back, yeah, to get another charge. And even though they had like 80 miles left, but they were still like kind of afraid of driving with 80 miles left on the range, right? So it just depends. I mean, it's fun, to take your car out and you know I mean that's the ideal, but it's for 200-mile trip, which is I think that's like a trip, right? I don't think it's more like less than that. I think you're still kind of not 100% there, especially if you have kids and you have a whole lot of crap, you're loading the car,
Let
with.
me ask you a silly question. When I drive my Clubman or any gasoline powered vehicle, and my gas gauge goes down, and the warning light comes on, and it says, like literally I have 25 miles, which is probably 35 or 40, but I know that at a certain point when I run out of gas, the car's just going to stop. Is that what happens with an electric vehicle?
I guess so. I'm one of those persons that drives, when I'm driving a gas, like to the very last mile, very last mile rate. I'm usually not. I'm really moving around all day, and I'm driving with 10 miles left on the gallon. And I know what you mean. When you're out,
Yeah.
you know, at least you can get gas, right? If you call, AAA or whatever, they'll bring you a 5-gallon, can, and that's it. But I don't do that with my Polestar. Like if I get like 5%, I'll have just to wait. I'll wait.
Yes.
If I had this thing last like almost like a week ago, I was at 5%, and I was at this Electrify America station that's usually really busy, and I had to wait like an hour, 20 minutes for one of the charging, units to get free, just because I couldn't go to the other one because it was too risky. The other one that was 9 miles away, I'm like, I'm not gonna risk it. I'm not gonna risk it, for save a couple minutes or half an hour of my time, just to risk, getting stuck in the middle. So yeah, I'm really afraid of just because you probably have to bring a tow truck. You probably
Wow.
have to bring a tow truck, right, and load it up, and then get you to a charging station. I don't know how you're gonna connect if the car isn't turning on, right? So it's like it's a big hassle for me.
Does I'm going to show my ignorance here, and I apologize in advance, but does draining the battery all the way down to where the damn electric vehicle will just stop because there's no juice left, does that do any damage to the battery if you do that?
Well, I don't think it's like the battery is gonna go, next day it's gonna die or whatever, but it's
Yeah,
not good to do the full 0 to 100 recharge. I think just put a lot of stress on the battery. It's not recommended. Now,
yeah,
I lease a vehicle. I lease a Polestar. I'm not
yes,
worried about that. I don't worry about, what's gonna happen in 5 years because I'm only leasing it for 3. So
sure,
I usually stay 20-80, at 20 and then recharge to 80 like in half an hour. But yeah, if you go to 100% charge and then you drain it to a 0, it's not the best like practice. They say. I don't know. I
yeah,
haven't seen any degradation, and I've been charging, doing fast charging mostly. Like 80%,
yeah,
and I haven't seen any degradation. I think these batteries are pretty, and the management systems are pretty robust. Now that doesn't mean that I trust the range. I mean, if I go on a road trip and it's 200 miles, I'm not gonna. I mean, that's too close.
yeah.
Sometimes they do promise too much and under deliver, based on, if it's
That,
uphill.
that
Yeah.
sounds like most car dealers.
Yeah.
Over promise and under deliver. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky. But it's yeah, for a road trip, like getting back to the subject, like I know that everyone's gonna say Tesla, right? Because of the charging network, right? I
Yes.
mean, if you have a good network to charge, I have no problems. Like I know Tesla is the best one, 17,000, charging state, units out there. Someone here mentioned, there was one in Idlewild, like an L2, like a level 2. We're probably going to take a while to charge, but if I had that super charger network coverage, I would probably say okay, to take one on a road trip.
Uh-huh.
But if I'm driving an electrified, like a normal non Tesla, and I have to depend on a charging network like Electrify America, that's not gonna work. And I think that's kind of the main issue. It's not so much of the vehicle. I think it's more about the charging network, that's available in your area, whether you're gonna take it or not.
So if like for instance, when Zach and I drove across country a couple of years ago, I don't, as you understand, I'm older and I don't like to drive that much in a given day anymore. So we would try and let me rephrase that. I would set up our daily drives based on, hey, I don't really want to be in the car for more than 5 or 6 hours on a given day.
Hmm.
So sometimes, we only drove 250 or 300 miles in a day. But if I had been driving an electric vehicle, let's say, and the average range of the average electric vehicle today is probably what, 275 miles,
Like
perhaps.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So that really would have impacted more so how I chose and planned the route, I would think.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Plus, you have to also plan where you're going to stop and charge, not so much how much time you want to be driving. Like if
Yes.
it's, in a rural area, area where there isn't so much infrastructure, like you have to probably keep driving, right, for a little while longer
You
until you
know,
get to your destination, somewhere is
wh-
available, right?
yeah, when you're driving from Las Vegas and you go up through Utah and then into Colorado and you're driving through mountains and you're driving through a lot of rural areas,
Hmm.
it would probably what would impact me more than anything is trying to make sure that I could find hotels at night that had charging stations.
Hmm.
And just because like a lot of hotels might have one or two charging stations. But if you have a half a dozen people who are driving EVs that are staying at that hotel, that can become an issue.
Yeah, that's a big problem. Yeah, I mean, that kind of, you're always with that word, like, if it's gonna be free, is it gonna be free? Is it gonna free? You know, the stalls is gonna be free for you because you don't
Exactly.
want to. I mean, I remember like I'm 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 waiting almost at every single, like, whenever I need to charge, I have to plan like half an hour, at least of wait time. Like, if I need to be somewhere, I will probably just take my mini. If I have to be there, like, go to work and come back and have to be here by 6, and I'm kind of running, like, I need to charge or whatever. I mean, I just will take the mini. I mean, it's just such a big. People are just hogging the stations for way too long, and there's a lot of bad practice in there. Like, Ray, like, people stay after like 80% is really really slow, and they'll just stay for 100%, charge, especially with the vehicles that charge really slowly. Like, oh man, that's like super, like, my head explodes when I see that. Like, there's no culture, of courtesy of having for other people waiting.
Yeah, there probably has to be somebody has to establish um, um, a protocol, an acceptable um,
Yeah.
protocol for how long you can stay in a stall, a charging location.
Hmm.
Is it really necessary that you get to 100% of charge? Things like because there's got to be there's we know there's not enough charging stations, and what RV sales were up to 7.3% of all vehicles. I mean, EV sales were up to I think 7.3% of all vehicles sold in the last quarter, if something like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
we know sales of EVs are going up, and charging stations are probably not being readied as quickly as sales are going up. So it's got to create some. I mean, I can imagine there would be fist fights over
Oh.
somebody hogging a charging station while others are waiting.
I've seen things, and I'm kind of like, just, my head goes down in my car. Like, I don't want to intervene or anything. It's not my problem. But some people will walk into, like, next to the car that's charging, like, at 95% it's already, and
Yeah,
they'll just look at the guy, like, get out or something, like to talk. The guy won't even look at him. I'm like, oh my god, that guy's gonna start pounding on the window or something. But yeah, it's just because of lack of education and common courtesy and understanding, maybe, and also, there's not enough. There's only three, chargers, in most
hmm
Electrify America places, and there's more demand, like you said. Like, I've seen EVs, like, working, deals and stuff. I've seen more people getting EVs because now they're a little bit more affordable. You don't see
hmm
markups.
yes,
Even with the Ionic 5, for example, I'm seeing 2,500 off, 3% off from MSRP, plus the EV rebate that people are kind of even leasing to buy now. So, and Tesla, with those prices are getting incredible. It make like a good replacement for even a smaller gas vehicle.
sure.
We're gonna start seeing way more people on the road driving EVs, and that will put a lot of pressure on the infrastructure. And
You
it's not
know,
enough time to build those. Build the infrastructure up. It's gonna be tough.
and I was thinking back to the gas rationing days. I've
Yeah.
been around for a while
Hmm.
in the 70s. I mean, lines were miles long. They had odd days and even days. If your license plate ended in an even number, you could fill up on even days. You could buy gas on even days. If
Hmm.
if 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 it was an odd day and you pulled in and your car had an even number plate, you couldn't get gasoline. So you just think that there's this at this point it's almost an artificial shortage of working charging stations because uh, we just haven't built them fast enough.
Yeah.
Yet
Yeah.
sales are growing much more rapidly than the infrastructure for people out there to be able to utilize them. I mean, for you to go someplace and have to wait an hour and a half just so you can plug your vehicle in. I don't have to remind you about how many things you could probably do in an hour and a half.
I don't know, and every single one of those cars that's selling right now, like the Ionic, they come with free charging for like 2, 3 years, right?
Uh-huh.
And I think that's the problem right now. Like everyone has free charging, fast charging,
Yes.
and instead of us charging at home or at work, which some of us can do, right? Everyone's charging at those free stations right now, so they save, a little bit of money. I guess in California, electricity is a little bit of expensive, but I don't think that that's the best for the industry, for the EV industry, giving out free charging plans for 3 years, because it only, like, the experience, it makes it like really bad. At the end, if you have to wait or you're afraid of going to charge, then you're gonna be like, maybe EV is not for me right now. Maybe it'll be good for a second vehicle, but not
Uh-huh.
as my primary one. In fact, the good thing is that we have like the Mini, as a, you know, primary vehicle, let's say, even though it's not the primary, but at least we have something to use when the EV is not the best, option. But most people, if you're going to be your only driver, oh, that's going to be tough. The experience and the frustration is going to be
Can I ask you a question in regards to EVs? Doesn't necessarily have to do with the ultimate road trip EVs, but
there.
um, you work a lot of with a lot of our customers, helping them get cars, and I'm sure you work with a lot of them that are trying to get EVs. Would it surprise you if I told you that on Sunday, Zach and I were at a local Kia dealership here, and I want to say there were at least 10 Neros, and that's an electric vehicle. Every one of them had a $4,995 market adjustment. So they were all in the upper 50s. Are dealers really getting a market adjustment on Neros that are sitting?
Well, when you said Kia, I kind of knew that's kind of like a problem with Kia. Dealerships, when you walk in to the Kia dealer, that doesn't surprise me to see that with any kind of vehicle in those type of games. Now, if
Mhm.
you were to tell me, the sister vehicle, sister brand Hyundai, I'm not seeing that on Hyundai at all. Like I'm
Okay.
seeing even in California. I mean, I could, 5 minutes, I'll have 2,500 off an Ionic SE.
Wow.
And there's incentives on top of it. There's low APR right now. Like I think it's 0.099. Even how when that's a pretty good indication that they have probably more units incoming and they need to move them. But with Kia, to me, Kia is a very special brand that they just play crazy games. Now you can get like without the markup, but not
Mhm.
by walking in and just asking, can you take it off? Yeah, it'll be tough. But if you shop around, I think you can do MSRP on a
I
Nero
I
EV.
I literally, I was shocked. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm thinking, okay, if they were in short supply, I could see, but there were like 10 of them sitting there. And we pulled up the CarEdge reports as we were there, and it's like there's 150-day supply or something like that.
yeah.
And and I'm thinking, well, if there's this much supply, how's a dealer have 10 or 12 of them and think that they can get some type of market adjustment over MSRP for that?
I'm pretty sure some people will pay them. I mean, you'll be surprised what we see every single day. Like I see stuff and they're like they're trying to convince us that, oh no, it's a good deal, because they were asking for more, last
Yeah.
time that I went, and they're giving us a break at 3,000, and I'm like, no, no, we this is just their sales tactics, right? They go out so they can still keep the markup, and you just gotta say no,
Yeah. I mean,
or
like
look
I
at
said,
another one.
yeah, like I say, it's an ask. The dealership's asking for it. They would like to get it. I'm pretty sure in many cases they don't really expect to get it, but there's one way for sure. As I said to Zach on Sunday, there's one way for sure that they ain't going to get it, and that's if they don't put it on the addendum label and ask for
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
nobody's going to come in and go, hey, I see you have 10 or 12 of them, and I'd like to get one. And if you don't mind, I'd like to pay you $5,000 more than MSRP. Nobody's walking in doing that. Um, so if you put an extra $5,000 for a market adjustment, then a salesperson could say, well, what if I could get that marked down to $4,000 for you? Will we have a deal then?
Yeah.
And so,
Today only.
yeah, yeah. And maybe again tomorrow and the next day. But I was just, there was not one car of any type on the Kia lot that we were at, and they had cars. On the Kia lot that we were at on Sunday, there wasn't one car that didn't have some type of market adjustment.
Mhm.
And I thought to myself, my God, they have so many vehicles. They even had some base carnivals there. And I thought, you have a vehicle where there's limited Toyota Siennas and there's limited Honda Odysseys. This is your opportunity, if you're reasonable, to be able to steal customers who would normally buy the Toyota or the Honda
Mhm.
and convert them to a Kia customer
Yeah.
if you just treated them fairly. I mean, there were
Mhm.
$5,000 markups on a $36,000 Carnival or $38,000 Carnival, whatever it was, and to me it was insane. I mean, in some cases the markups were more than 20% of the MSRP.
Yeah. Like Mazda followed that strategy pretty well with Toyota buyers that were not able to buy a RAV4.
Hmm.
They were not able to buy like a Corolla because it's super in high demand. And even though they'll sell it for you MSRP, you have to wait, right? You have to wait 2 months or 3 months for one.
Or
But
more.
you're better off going to a Mazda store, right, and getting a Mazda 3 or a CX-5 or a CX-50, even at a discount,
Yeah,
8%, 9% off, and they just converting Toyota owners, pretty well. That's a smart strategy.
that's how they
But yeah.
got my daughter. you
Oh,
know
oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. 6.5,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she and her husband originally wanted a RAV4. Couldn't get one. Couldn't get their hands
yeah,
on one. I said, "Honey, you need to look at a CX-5. See what
yeah,
you think of that."
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
looked, they liked it, and the next thing you know, we had one at a
I'm,
discount.
I'm, I'm not going to. Yeah, Kia and Nissan for me are like EVs or no EVs. They're like very, very outlier type of dealership experience, pricing and service and whatever you throw at it, it's like suboptimal. I'll definitely shift for something different. And I think I'm seeing the comments here, like everyone knows, like Ionic 2500 below in LA, the
Yeah,
ID4, ID4, started at 2500 and 3000. Now we see 3500 off MSRP. So there are better alternatives out there than the Nero. If the Nero doesn't want to, Kia dealers don't want to play, and they want to keep their Neros, fine. Just go and get a 94. Get a
I,
Ioniq 5. They're pretty good ones.
the really interesting thing to me was, and the Nero it looked like a lovely vehicle. I mean, what the heck
Yeah,
do
it's
I know? But my guy, I kept thinking to myself, I don't know much about EVs, but I know that a Model 3 is $15,000 less money.
yeah, yeah.
Why would anybody entertain the Nero?
It's I don't know if they're just chopping around and people think they're just gonna buy a car because they just saw it for the first time and they haven't done the research and haven't asked around and done test drives or research the market better. I think that's why people make decisions sometimes, really quick decisions are not well researched, to just that.
It is so important to do the research. I mean, on Sunday, Zach and I spend our Sundays now, not this coming Sunday, but the past 3 Sundays, where we drive around to local dealerships and we take a look at what's going
Mhm.
on. Now the Kia dealership had plenty of new cars, and we went to the local Honda dealership. Literally, we found 9 new Hondas.
Yeah.
9. And it was either 2 or 3 of the 9 had a sold tag in the window.
Hmm.
So there was I think 6 or 7 that were available for sale. That new cars that were there. That was it. And we couldn't tell if they had a market adjustment because they didn't have an addendum label. But when we went to their website, they showed that, well, they added this and that and whatever. but at least they gave you something for the money, and you could almost understand why they would do it, because they have no inventory, as opposed to when, 2 miles up the road, we're at the Kia dealership, and they got more Kias than space.
Yeah, because it's not a competitive price, and I think that's why they have like I always tell people like, oh, but it's I Telluride, but it's on the lot, and it's been there for 120 days. I'm like, well, it's been there that long because they're asking for a really unreasonable price for it. That's why. It's
Yes.
not because it's a great deal. Forget about high days on market. Like that's a sign that it's a dealer that wants to get the money that he just wants to get and doesn't care if he has to wait 3 months to get it.
Yeah, and
And
it's almost as if Nissan dealerships and Kia dealerships, and not all Nissan and not all Kia, and I'll even throw Hyundai into this, and not all Hyundai dealerships, but it's almost as if the vast majority of those three brands, those type of dealerships, are run in the oldest of old school manners. Um, where, with the additional dealer markups and all the games that are played, and use of the four square
the
when you
first
sit
square.
down with, yeah, and and every old sales tactic and trick in the book that is used, and it seems to be more common at those three brands, and maybe some Chrysler, Jeep,
Yeah.
Ram
Oh,
dealers.
yeah. Of course. Yes. Yeah.
um, it's it's mind-boggling to me that in today's day and age, with as many people who are on the internet like we are, trying to help educate people, that there are still so many people out there that have no idea as to what
Hmm.
they need to be on the lookout for,
Hmm.
when they go to a dealership to buy a vehicle.
Yeah. Now, and I must say that there are a few good Kia dealers out there, even in Southern California. But walking into a dealership and just expecting that you're gonna get the best price just because you're there, it's not gonna work. Like the only way that you're gonna is like pre-ordering or pre-selling. They're going to pre-sell the vehicle a couple of weeks before it even arrives. So you
Hmm.
got to be flexible on colors, you got to be flexible on the time frame that it's delivered, and you just got to wait a little bit, be patient, right, for the car to be delivered, and you'll get your MSRP or your small 500 $1,000 discount even on a Kia, if you're willing to do that. Like, but some people just want to drive the car today out of the
Yes.
dealership. Some people just want to, I see it, I want it, I'm willing to negotiate, and even though it's from 5,000 to 3,000, well, that's $3,000 just to have the car today. Well, that's your decision, right? But yeah, most dealers, right, are doing the smart thing. Toyota and Mazda, and they're like, instead of seeing vehicles pile up on their lot so they can start discounting it, they prefer to pre-sell them.
Hmm.
And they pre-sell them even with a small discount, but everything that arrives will be already, has a name on it. And I think that's smart, because once they have those 15 Tundras on the front lot,
Hmm.
everyone's gonna start saying, well, why should I pay? Why should I wait for a factory order if you have 15 over here, give me a discount on these ones, and then we start seeing coming back to our practice of discounting, right? And I don't think they want a discount; they just want to sell the MSRP by pre-selling and maybe offering a small discount. But I think that's better than having inventory, keeping inventory and having it to discount, for those, because we're gonna see that they have,
Well,
those units standing there. Yeah.
and we understand that when they do have inventory sitting on a lot, it's costing them money.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not free money that they get to
Hmm.
borrow, in order to finance their inventory that's sitting on their lot.
Yeah.
To me, it's very interesting. I was literally, taken aback on Sunday when I was at because I didn't expect to see like a half a dozen Tellurides, and there were probably 10 or 12 Carnivals, and there were Neros, and Sorrento hybrids. I mean, they had everything,
Hmm.
um, and plenty of them, and additional dealer markup on every one. And I guess the theory is at a Hyundai dealership that they probably believe that they're attracting a less educated buyer in many cases, and
Mhm.
so that they can get away with doing this. And like I said, I guess they're certainly not going to get it if they don't ask for it. And our customers that we help, the members that we help, they have to understand that they can't get what they want if they don't ask for it. You have to. You never get what you don't ask for, I guess is the right way to say it.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
you
and
educate people every day to do that.
yeah, we're telling people like you gotta. And I think there's a good comment here about how you play allocations to get like a discount if you see that. Like it's we know that Ionic 5s arrive in batches of 30 units at once. Like they'll arrive 30 at once. They have really bad. I don't know if that's like with Volkswagen, that's an issue with Audi. They don't know
Mhm.
what's coming. Like they don't even in the port there might be 200 vehicles and they might get 30 at once, but beyond that, they don't have any visibility. So sometimes if you're patient and just don't give in, like they'll call you or they'll say, hey, you know, can you take this Ionic 5 will give you 2,500 off just because they know they have 30. They don't
Yeah.
want those 30 on the lot. Like they don't want them. And you see that with Tundras, you see that with with a lot of brands, not only with EVs. You just gotta know. You gotta be patient and know. And if you know that these cars are not in short supply because demand's not super crazy, just wait a little bit, and you'll probably be able to get one at a good discount. And we see that every single day. Like if you play it smart and wait, you'll see a big jump from 1,000 to 3,000 off a Tundra, 4,000 off, just because they have 15 of those coming in.
Yeah.
Say 15 TRD Sports, they don't want to have 15. They'll be willing to discount them to 3,000, 4,000 to move them. So there's deals out there, and even in EVs, you just mentioned the Tesla, which is a great value.
Mhm.
It's just gonna make I think I saw a comment there from Susan, I think, that everyone's gonna start driving one of those, in couple of years. Like it's gonna be so affordable compared to the other options. They will be talking here like day trips. Yeah, because we can take a road trip. Yeah, no problem because there should be enough stations to charge, every 50 miles, right? And or 25 miles, at least, your trip. But right now it's not there. It's not the car. That's kind of my thing. Coming back to the topic is like it's not about the car, it's about the charging network. And you can drive a Tesla, you can drive a Polestar or a Mach-E, all will get 200 miles plus. Tesla might get 300, I guess, or a little bit
Mhm.
higher if they don't. But it's more about when you have kids and they want to go have dinner and then you gotta go somewhere else and stuff. You just don't want to be looking at 80 miles on your range. And I'm like, if I like, I'll take I'm risky, I'll say I'll go. I'll see if I can make it. But if I have
Mhm.
a car full of kids, I don't want to deal with that, that complaining if we get stuck somewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
you know, I
Yeah.
don't deal with that. So I'm gonna like, no, I'll take the Cooper, even though it's tiny, but at least
And
it's
and 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 honestly, the Clubman's not all that small. I mean, you
no,
you
it's
know,
not that small. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
you can you can fit
Yeah, 5 people
4
in there,
people.
right?
You can
Yeah,
fit 5 people, but 4 really comfortably.
yeah. Two kids, one teenager in the back, and two adults.
Yeah,
Yeah, that.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's more than enough leg room in the back seat of a Clubman,
yeah.
and I've spent some time in the back seat. When I would let Zach drive my car and Laura was sitting in the passenger seat, and
Oh, that's nice. I'm waiting for
well,
those times where I don't drive. I enjoy it, but my wife doesn't like to drive, so I'm kind of always be the
well,
chauffeur in the
well,
family.
there's nothing wrong with being a
No,
chauffeur, but
no.
there's even less wrong with being chauffeured. So,
I like it, yeah. But you're right. We sometimes think that we need the big car, and for hybrids, that's gonna be a challenge because if we get like a, I don't know, whatever, like a Wagoneer electric hybrid, can you imagine the weight of that thing,
no,
and the efficiency of that thing? And you only take like how many road trips a year? Like how many times? Like two or three? Like the average
yeah,
person can maybe two or three. The other times you'll
yeah,
fly or whatever.
yeah.
So I don't think that. we need huge vehicles with super long range. I don't think that's gonna be. I mean, there's always gonna be people that have the money to have the biggest car, right,
Sure.
with the longest range and stuff. That's great. But for the average person, I think like the Tesla and like the Mach-E and all those cars with 300 miles. I think that's more than enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I,
right.
I I was going to say, I know, Friday, Zach and Laura and I are driving to Philadelphia in the morning so we can catch a flight to go up to Montreal for the weekend for part of the Montreal Jazz Festival, something we try to do every year. And Laura said to me, she said, "Do you want us to pick you up, or do you want to pick us up?" I said, we'll take the Clubman, my Mini, because I have an easy pass, number one, and that way you kids don't have to worry about the tolls. It just automatically comes out of my pocket. And B, there's more than enough room for the three of us to be in that Clubman, even with a suitcase and a couple duffel bags. I mean, people would be surprised how much. Zach and I drove cross country with a bike on the top of our car and 5 months worth of stuff that we were going to need. And there was more than enough room in my previous Clubman to do that. And it was fun to drive across country in that vehicle.
I was gonna tell you that, like, it's fun and cool. It's especially how the what's it, the Untold edition. Now you don't see many of those on the road, so yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Zach borrowed it today. So what can I tell you? Here's a nice young man that runs a car company and doesn't have a car.
Well, I remember he used to have like a Volvo, right? Like
Yeah, he had the
S90.
Volvo S90. It was a
Yeah,
beautiful
see that?
vehicle. Yeah.
It is a really nice. It's a really large vehicle, more than enough for a trip. It's a huge car.
Yeah, no, it was, and it was surprisingly luxurious for a four-cylinder
Mhm.
car. Had plenty of power, but that's another story for another day. We've crushed 37 minutes, and
Hey,
the
good.
show's typically only half an hour. I want to thank you for filling in for Justice today. I believe tomorrow it'll be Phil and I. So Mario, thank you. I certainly, I wouldn't have done this without you, but more importantly, I couldn't have done this without you. So
No,
thank
thank
you
you.
for helping today.
No, thank you for inviting me, and it's been fun. And
Yeah,
see you next time.
absolutely. And everybody, will see you back here tomorrow at 12:45 Eastern, 9:45 Pacific time for more CarEdge Electric Unplugged. Thanks everybody for being here today.